everybody. Welcome to a special edition of the Limit Breakdown. This is going to be our post-WrestleMania analysis. I've got my very special guest, Justin, over here. He's our resident wrestling expert, and we're going to be breaking down the best matches and our thoughts of the overall program and hit a little bit of the post-WrestleMania Raw. And let's jump right into it, man. I'm going to start off with the first match, the Usos versus Rick Boggs. Very unfortunate about his injury.
I mean, it was such a freak accident. And just to rewind real quick is the experience we had. And just kind of a background, me and Miguel went and saw this at AMC Theater on the big screen. So guys, if you have a chance, if they're doing it, go see a wrestling event. It was so cool.
It was immensely fun.
There wasn't a lot of people there, but the experience was nonetheless. But yeah, you started off the night, and obviously the match ended very early. He blew out his knee. I did just read he has had surgery. He's probably going to be out for the rest of the year. So Rick Boggs.
He injured his patella, right?
Yeah, complete tear. So he'll be out for the year. Obviously that match ended, almost immediately after. So Usos retained the SmackDown Tag Team titles there. But who knows? Maybe it was going to go different. Maybe it wasn't. But we'll have to see what is next for Nakamura, if he gets a new tag team partner, if they finally pit him back into a championship picture.
It would be great to see Nakamura back in the singles. I mean, it's just such a classic WWE thing. It's just they have so much talent that they don't know what to do with.
Yeah, Nakamura, I love the guy. He's such an energizing figure. So hopefully from this he will rebound and really thoughts go out to Rick Boggs, because man, your first WrestleMania, first match of the night, and you blow out your knee. God, I can only imagine what he's feeling. So next we have Baron Corbin, or Happy Corbin, excuse me, with his little buddy Madcap Moss going up against Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre really has been just the face of the WWE since the pandemic era. So obviously he was going to win this match.
I'm glad they did something with the sword. Like, look, I know I'm not expecting anybody to actually get stabbed with the sword, but you keep waving it around.
Going, let's just murder somebody. let's murder.
Well, the ring ropes got murdered.
They did, and kind of corny in a sense, because obviously, I mean, I don't know, maybe that sword is real. I don't know, and I don't really want to find out. It was a fun match. It was a quick match. Corbin, he's doing a great job with that character. I mean, you got to give it to him. I mean, the whole depressed dude, I think, was a little bit more enjoyable. When he had no money. The happy thing is annoying, but I mean,
I'm actually surprised that they allowed McIntyre to kick out of End of Days. They've been protecting that for quite a bit.
He's the first person to ever do that, so very unique. I think this will definitely put McIntyre probably in a position to, go beyond and get back into the title picture now that we go into post-WrestleMania. But fun match nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to what I thought was one of the surprises, the Miz and Logan Paul versus the Mysterios. I did not look. I am not a fan of Logan Paul.
Well, let's talk about Logan Paul and the Pokemon card. $5.2 million. The Pokemon Illustrator card. And anybody that follows this stuff knows just how outrageous that is.
Well, it's partially his fault.
I mean, it is his fault, and he got the certified Guinness World Record prior to WrestleMania. There was a post video that came out on TikTok of him getting the certificate. So it's legit, guys, and. But yeah, Logan Paul, man, holy hell.
Yeah. It's interesting. Having been a part of the Pokemon trading card community. Right. Look, what am I not?
It's not.
Yeah, no. It's not a flex.
It's not a flex.
It's not a flex.
But it is a flex. But yeah, I mean, Logan Paul did an incredible job. I mean, he was doing a lot more than what I thought. And Miz definitely controlled the match. Mm-hmm. But Logan Paul definitely, doing the Three Amigos.
Yeah. Well, it's been mentioned by others, but he definitely had a ring awareness that a lot of pros don't have. He knew spots to look at the camera. He recognized the feedback from the crowd.
Well, he not to toot the Miz's horn, but I mean, he's a veteran. And the Miz definitely trained him and got him ready. Obviously, he's probably been preparing for this match for a very long time. They probably knew about this.
Yeah.
Well beyond. I was a little mixed on the Mysterios losing. Because I know, Ray's probably coming towards the end.
Yeah.
And with him on the cover of 2K22, I was like, well, okay, he should win. But regardless, you gotta know, man, like, he got to do that with his son.
Yeah.
And you don't replicate that. Like,
how
do you go and say, oh, let me do that again? Like, he got to do something with his son, like, he can never do that again, And
I mean, and then that's
gotta be like up there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, they've actually had quite a bit of success as a tag team.
Yeah, former SmackDown Tag Team Champions, first father-son duo to ever accomplish that. So, Dominic's, he's got a ways to go, but
he has a lot of potential, man. He's just as agile as his father was in some of his younger days.
Guerrero tribute in the gear.
That was nice.
Gear, and
that was nice.
I didn't pick up on that immediately. It was actually the Fox Sports Instagram that put that out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, how did I not pick that up? But,
that was.
like father, like son.
That classic.
Who's your puppy?
That classic Mysterio Guerrero feud.
Of course.
Oh god, yeah, that takes me back.
Great stuff. But yeah, really, really shocked. And then Miz turns on Logan Paul after the match.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I saw that coming a mile away.
So I guess maybe there's going to be a future. We got SummerSlam coming up in July. So
I mean, I could definitely get behind that. Although it's
Logan Paul.
It's kind of
the fans boo that.
A heel versus heel thing.
It really is. There's no way Logan Paul's a babyface ever. No. Even if they try to present him, the fans are going to shit on him.
Yeah.
At least the smart fans will. The casual fans will be like, yay! But I digress. Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Championship.
Tore the house down, man. That was
the entrances alone, and you had stepped out for the restroom, but Becky Lynch had a Marvel Studios entrance. So they did her name in the Marvel character, like in the Marvel intro, which was badass. And then she had her standard entrance, but Bianca Belair with the historic
with the marching band,
college.
What was that? Texas A&M, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just that was powerful in itself because that's her roots, and obviously to represent the black culture and what that meant to her, like that was had to be pretty emotional. Just that entrance alone. But man,
the match, a
barn burner. My God.
Yeah.
I
love how they teased up the previous SummerSlam encounter.
Oh yeah,
dude, that quick pin. Yeah. No, that had it had me guessing it for a second.
Yeah. And honestly, going into this match, I kind of thought, well, maybe they'll do the opposite because obviously Becky squashed her at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I thought, well, maybe they would do the opposite, and she would squash Becky. But I'm so glad they didn't do that.
Yeah.
A lot of false finishes, a lot of kickouts, a lot of reversals, a lot of shenanigans. I wouldn't say shenanigans, but man, just wow! Like it was. We were asking ourselves all night long how you would deliver that match, and really just seeing it, like it was so emotional.
Yeah.
That 450 splash that Bianca Belair did. I was
No. It was absolutely riveting. The storytelling, the way that the emotion was crafted into the false finish at the early beginning, the getting the audience to almost buy into, oh, they're gonna do it to her again,
right,
and then having her fight back, and then Becky was she did not look like she was letting up. I
mean they literally beat the hell out of each other. Post match, Bianca Belair has a very
I saw that.
Bianca Belair wins this match, wins the Raw Women's title in a she got out of the disarmor, put her in that KOD. 1, 2, 3, center of the ring. 2 WrestleManias in a row that Bianca Belair has won the championship. I mean, she's on that level. Like,
she's primed.
She is a star beyond, I think, really what they expected, I believe. I mean, 'cause when she was in NXT, she really didn't do much. She had a few opportunities, lost those opportunities. She debuted on the main roster during the pandemic era, so no fans, so they didn't really get to judge her interest.
Well, she was a standout too at the year before she won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
That Royal Rumble appearance was the first time I ever noticed her, and I think she had a standout performance that year.
She did. The first time I got to see her live, NXT did a house show here in Atlanta at Center Stage, and I went to that, and she wrestled. Oh God, it was like Selena Vega, and it was an incredible match. And of course, Selena Vega, former one half of the women's tag team title champions. But man, I was like, holy hell, this girl's something. And here we are. Now she's a 2-time champion. But yeah, I mean, she's now won the Royal Rumble. She's won the Elimination Chamber. She's SmackDown. She's Raw. I mean, this girl's a star. I mean,
absolutely.
Absolutely. If she can stay healthy, God willing, Vince has something that, I think she'll be up there with the Charlottes and the Shasas and the Baileys and Beckys and Asukas and stuff like that. I mean, who's next for her? Who knows? They kicked off Raw. She gave a very passionate promo with the, you can take away my eye, you try to take away my throat, you try to do this, you try to do this. So just a really, really powerful moment for her. And, it's kind of cool. Saw some Facebook videos where this teacher was like showing it to her class. And it was like, she was showing it, and it was like I guess a primarily African-American class. And showing it, it's like, man, like this woman is representing more than just the WWE. Like, she's representing a whole culture. And so for girls to see that, especially African American females to see that, like, that's pretty awesome. So kudos to Bianca Belair. Freaking love you.
No, absolutely, and the match was absolutely stellar.
Stellar. Absolutely five stars easily. It's hard to beat that match.
Yeah.
But the next match.
Oh man. So we were talking about it beforehand, and I wasn't completely sold on it being Cody Rhodes until the music hit, until that line that wrestling has more than one royal family. Until that line hit, I didn't actually think it would be Cody Rhodes. I threw out the name John Cena, and you were like, "Oh no." that could be it.
There were so many rumors. I mean, obviously, we saw the departure. Him leaving AEW. Rewind. Me and Miguel went to AEW Dynamite in January.
Yeah.
And he faced Andrade in that flaming tables match.
Oh God, yes.
And if you would have told me then, if Miguel would have said, "Hey Justin, when we watch WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes is going to wrestle," I would have slapped the son of a bitch across his face. But here we are. I can't even put into words like what I was feeling when that happened, because it was like, okay, is it Shane McMahon? Is it Undertaker? Is it someone stupid like, I don't know, someone from NXT? Is it, not that NXT guys are stupid, but and then you threw out that curveball right before, like John Cena, and I hadn't even thought about John Cena, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's gonna be John Cena, which I would have been like okay with, but man, when wrestling has more than a royal family, and I've said this twice in talking with other friends about this match and about the moment. In one night, Cody Rhodes changed everything.
Again, for the second time.
This is a man that left 6 years ago. We know his story. We're not going to go down that road and tell his story. But he was presented as a damn star.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. But a 20-minute wrestling match with arguably one of the greatest of our current generation, Seth frickin' Rollins, if you will. I can't say a bad thing about that match.
No.
Those two literally beat the living hell out of each other. I mean, Seth was not going easy on him, and rightfully so. I mean, you know, you're going to have your first match back on the grandest stage of them all against one of the best of all time. You know, they're going to bring the fire, and they sure as hell did. I mean, you had a lot of, you know, the pedigree moment.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the crossroads. And shaking and jiving.
Oh, yeah, father. Little tribute to Dusty.
You know, I'm a big fan of the Rhodes family.
Yeah.
I had the absolute honor at WrestleMania 27 when I was here. I went to Fan Access, and Dusty and Dustin were there. And this was, Cody wasn't there at that time. He was wrestling that night, but he wasn't at the Access panel for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everybody's got a Dusty story, but
I
have a Dusty story. And the man was just so nice. I was like, man, it's such an honor to meet you. And he's like, no, you know, he's got that Dusty voice. I can't do the Dusty voice, so I'm not going to try to do it. But he's like, he goes, no, it's an honor to meet you. He goes, because you're the fan, and you're why I'm here. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, this man who doesn't even know me, like, got up and shook my hand. And, like, and I've got a picture with this guy.
Oh,
and, like,
that's awesome, man.
You know, I got his autograph, and, like, him and Dustin were so nice to me. And, you know, it was, obviously I knew what he meant to the business. Growing up in this world, you know, I've been a wrestling fan for 34 years of my 34 years of life. So, you know, obviously, you know, that family means a lot. So to see Cody back, really where he belongs. I mean, because he's described everything of why, and, you know, doing it for his dad. And Raw opens up with that promo.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, man, it was a tearjerker. He says, hey, I'm back because my dad, and I'm back because I need to honor him, and I'm back because I need to do this. And
no, it was definitely an emotional promo, and like for me, it definitely changed my perspective, because when I kept hearing the rumors of him coming back, like I sort of got it. I was like, you know, is it one of those money aspects of it? But, you know, and again, kayfabe, you know, being whatever, but
right,
you know, it's one of those things where you want to believe that it's everything that he's saying that it is. And I mean, dude,
you know, I pick up on that he's telling the truth, and I don't think he's here because, I mean, Cody's been very successful.
Yeah.
And I don't think for him, this is about money.
Although I'm sure Vince through...
Oh, I'm sure, absolutely sure he's...
wrote that.
He probably paid from his checkbook, and like he said, you just write down a number for me, buddy, and we'll just do whatever you say.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him because, you know, him being an EVP at All Elite Wrestling, like if he would have been the world champion, people would have said, you booked yourself to be the champion.
Yeah, of course.
You booked yourself. And that's why the fans there were starting to kind of turn on him, because he was always having high caliber matches. Well, he was having high caliber matches because he's their biggest name, minus Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
So you're obviously going to put the biggest talent out there to drive fans revenue, but the fans weren't picking up on that. So I don't blame Cody for coming back. I can't wait to see him win the WWE title.
I only hope that they pace themselves with it.
Yeah, you can't rush this. I think it does need to be very methodical. I would love to see it work out through the year. Maybe he wins the Rumble, and then next year at WrestleMania.
I think so. Something like that, yeah. And something like that would be great.
But I mean, absolutely, when he challenges for that title.
Or I wouldn't even mind if they let him challenge for it at SummerSlam, but that culmination has to be a WrestleMania moment, I think.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I would be okay with, like, SummerSlam would be the only other avenue where he has to win it. Now SummerSlam might make more sense because it's in Nashville, and that's kind of like, WCW territory type deal, which obviously Dusty. Whereas WrestleMania next year is Hollywood. I don't know. The rumors are Roman versus The Rock next year, but we'll see. Either way, whenever he faces for the title, he either has to win or there has to be a screw job of why he doesn't win. But you definitely can't rush these things, and they're going to have to be fair and methodical of how he gets there. He needs to work with a bunch of people to really kind of get that, I wouldn't say rust off, but kind of get that WWE feel back to him, because he's not going to be doing flaming tables. And
No.
He's probably going to be, who knows? But I do think a little bit of a shift. AEW definitely has a lot to be proud of, but Cody Rhodes definitely is a star, and WWE has presented him like a mega star. The entrance, the music, the look, the presentation, the fireworks.
Do you think Cody's Arrival presents maybe a sort of shift in tactics a little bit for WWE?
I think it will start to change the directive of what they want to do. I think the idea that you can't look at indies or whatever will change, because I think now with Cody there, some of those guys that are in AEW may start to go, what's over there? The guys that haven't been there, and we discussed it, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, MJF, just to name a few, that might say, maybe I can go over there and do something because he's having success.
Well, and it's such a different world now. I mean, when we were younger, you literally had to scrounge to find tapes to be able to watch things from like New Japan or any of the stuff that's outside of the U.S. Some of the Lucha Underground stuff and all that. But now, like with the internet, like you can find anything with a couple clicks.
Yeah.
So there are people that are making waves.
Yeah, I think Cody's definitely going to put some eyes on WWE, and I hope, because WWE has been in a weird little pickle over the last 2-3 years of losing talent like water, but still pitting on quality shows, so I guess it doesn't matter that they've let go half their roster to AEW.
For the longest time, they were really, no disrespect to anybody else, but they were really the only game in town.
Right.
So, the top talent wanted to be in the top company.
Right.
So, yeah, they lost half their roster, but they were all stars.
Yeah, they were all, but I do think it's a paradigm shift, and I think it's...
But, and it also goes to show you, too, that they could afford to lose somebody like a Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And,
I think, you lose certain people, and you gain certain things, and you different pieces fall into place, but at the end of the day, like...
And honestly, I think the current environment is the best possible outcome right now for pro wrestling. I think the best times in pro wrestling has been when there has been a healthy alternative to WWE.
Yeah, I think, with what AEW brings to the table, Impact Wrestling, NWA, the returning ROH, New Japan, whatever. I think now's the time, but I think Cody Rhodes definitely puts some eyes back on WWE.
Yeah, for sure.
I, for one, I'm a huge fan of Cody. I love the guy. I immediately bought his shirt.
That was a really awesome design, too. So, that was really... Although I still don't like that tattoo.
I still don't like the tattoo on his neck, but I'm a huge Cody mark. So I did mark out. Miguel will attest, I was kind of freaking out when he came out.
I seen it.
I was kind of emotional to that, and whatever. But yeah, I knew we would spend like 3 hours talking about that match. So Charlotte, Ronda Rousey. Let's just move on.
I think this, outside of the two opening matches, I think this was the. It was gonna to go from the two highs, Bianca Belair, and then Cody and Seth, and it wasn't a bad match.
No,
it wasn't a bad match,
just,
but
for me, Ronda, she is limited. Now, I will say she did much better in this match. she did pull out some repertoire that we haven't seen. The top rope arm drag, it was really cool. You know, you could definitely tell she works a lot more stiff than any of the other women that are out there, which makes it more real. So it's presented as a little bit more hardcore, I guess you would say.
Well, and she's with her background, she's a believable badass. So.
Yeah, she's a believable badass, and they presented her in that way. It was a shenanigans match. Obviously.
Yeah.
The ending, it was made to extend this rivalry out a little bit longer, which seems a little odd because I already felt like this drug on from the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And her having to prove that she could beat Charlotte, which, I mean, regardless, like, you had the spear to Charles Robinson, and then
Little Nietzsche.
and then she's tapping out in the armbar, but I mean, technically it was misplaced on the referee, so really not cheating because the big boot, like it was a 1, 2, 3. So I mean, technicality win, but still.
I mean, in the eyes of the fans, it was a dirty.
It's a dirty. Charlotte's still the champion. I was happy with that. I'm not a big fan of Ronda. It's another one of those where I'm like, oh, it's a part timer coming in taking a spot.
Yeah.
We'll see where they go with this. Obviously, the rivalry's not over, but they really, I've got to have an investment, and I want to see what I need to be sucked into this rivalry on SmackDown. They need to do something big, because just doing like, oh, let me beat you up and put you in an armbar, that's not like, we can't do that every week on SmackDown. That's what they were doing leading up into this match. It was like, oh, I'm going to make you tap. Oh, you're going to tap. You're going to tap. And then nobody tapped. Like,
yeah.
Let's just have these girls do a submission match and call it a done deal at Backlash. That's what I'm assuming that they're going to do, is do it at a submission match or a cage match or something.
Or another Iron Woman would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, something of that nature. The thing is, you know, with Charlotte going into the scenario where she wins, you know, they've got to figure out where you go from here, because, you know, if it's not going to be Ronda, then who?
Yeah.
Because obviously Charlotte's going to remain in the picture just because of who she is, and, you know, they're going to get her to that 16 times to match her dad, which is whatever. I mean, Charlotte's good. I'm not taking that away from her. She's arguably one of the best of all time in the women's world, but definitely I would have maybe had Bianca Belair and Becky go after Cody, but whoever was going after that match, it was going to be hard. And so the air was kind of taken out of the building a little bit. But regardless, it was a fun match. It was a physical contest, but I really felt like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, both ladies put in good solid work. I feel, you know, like I said, outside of a few criticisms from the finish, I think it was fine. And like you said, it doesn't matter who it would have been. It was gonna be tough to follow. Seth and Cody and Bianca, yeah.
And Becky, I mean, you had 2 back-to-back 5-star matches. You know, Charlotte, Ronda, we'll see it again, and we'll probably see it again, and we'll probably see it again, and they're going to be the female equivalent of Lesnar Reigns. But
so for me, the next match was, well, it wasn't even billed as a match.
It wasn't billed as a match. It was the Wrestlemania main event edition of the KO show, and what we saw was, well, we had a KO show. That'd be fun. Another episode. But Kevin Owens, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and
it was what? It was a solid 15 minutes?
What? Yeah, I mean, what? He comes out there, of course, he's trashing Texas. Yeah. Texas sucks. Which Texas sucks. Just a little bit. If you're from Texas, I'm sorry, but your mama's a hoe. Sorry, it's just the truth. Anyways, he's talking trash. The glass breaks. Austin comes out, and then he's like, "Oh, I tricked you. I want a match." And then, of course, Austin does his, "If you want a match, give me a hell yeah." And of course, you're in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, of course.
Could you imagine if the fans were like, "No, we good." But that didn't happen. Obviously, we got a unsanctioned anything goes. But giving up to Kevin Owens, man.
He made Austin look like a rock star.
I mean, and I was okay. You have a few punches, and I'm like, all right, what are they gonna do? And then they go out to the crowd, and man, that suplex on the concrete.
Oh
like,
yeah, no, I was surprised that he took that.
Austin takes that bump onto the concrete, and I'm like, wow, he's okay. But I don't know if you saw what I saw, but what I felt is throughout that match is Austin, like, as it got longer and the more beers he had, like, he was looking better.
Yeah.
And better.
Yeah.
Like, they kept going. I mean, they were all over the place. On
yeah,
the ring,
definitely.
down at the ring. They're doing tables. They're doing chairs. They're doing...
Well, you gotta figure, too, man. This man was the top WWE personality for better part of a decade.
Yeah.
And you know, at a certain point, that muscle memory kicks in. I mean, it was 19 years since?
19 years since his last...
Since his last match.
Last sanctioned match. He had some things with Eric Bischoff, but that was, not essential.
Yeah.
But yeah, a fun moment, and you were kind of going into it, we're like, oh, this shit in WrestleMania, it's going to be a toxic segment. He's going to just hit a stunner, drink a beer, and leave. That's not what we got.
No, it wasn't at all.
A match, and I think a good swan song for Austin. I love the moment where KO gets on the 4-wheeler, he's trying to drive off.
Oh yeah.
And he doesn't know how to operate it because he's the stupid Texan or whatever, and Austin gets in the cut. Yeah, so I'm like, oh my god. I mean, he was hauling ass on that.
Yeah, he was.
Man, like, get out of this dude's way, because if you're a camera dude or you're a fan reaching out, he's gonna run your arm over or whatever. But it was fun. Like, I really enjoyed the match, and it was a good ending to night one, which I would have to say night one in retrospect, WrestleMania's probably one of the best WrestleManias, really since like WrestleMania 30 for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, top to bottom, yes.
This could have, night one could have been the entirety of WrestleMania for me.
Yeah.
And I would have been satisfied.
Absolutely could have. For me, for night one, I got to give my match of the night to, I'm actually going to go different here. I think I'm going to go one way, but I'm going to say Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch.
Okay.
Just because of the emotional importance it does to the community around it. But yeah, just a fun, just an incredible.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Like, when we left there, I was tired.
Nah, I'm gonna surprise you too. My match of the night, it was actually not what you thought it was. I actually am gonna pick Logan. No, of course I'm not picking Logan Paul and The Miz. What are you, crazy? What? No, I mean it's Cody and Seth. That match was top notch.
A great night, and then we'll go right into night two. This is going to be the norm from now on, because next year they asked for, of course, WrestleMania 39. Holy hell.
Dude, you're old, man.
I am. I should just go away now. It's past my bedtime. The WrestleMania 39 next year in Hollywood. But yeah, 2 nights, so that's going to be the norm going on. And,
so, for the sake of time, I don't want to go down match by match on night two. Unfortunately, night two I think was just not.
So for me, night two was more. So night one was more about the matches. Night two was about the fun, because you had the zany moments. You had Sami Zayn, John Knoxville, which I think that's a match we need to talk about.
Yeah, we do that. That was everything that you would expect. I mean, look. One thing you can expect from the Jackass tour is they at least know how to take bumps.
This was supposed to be a one-off. This was supposed to be Johnny Knoxville's doing the Royal Rumble, Jackass forever, and that's it. But the response from social media was so strong that they're like, we might have something here. So they tested some things, and the response was strong again. And boom, now they have a match.
And full credit to Sami Zayn, man. He was working his butt off
to make those guys, look good. Sami Zayn is a constant professional, multiple-time Intercontinental Champion, NXT Champion, Tag Team Champion. The guy he's money, and I've said it before, Sami Zayn pinned the world title on this man, and he would be the ultimate heel. Like, I want to see him get killed. But he reminds me of like a young edge, minus that like.
Rated R.
Yeah, minus like I don't know. He's kind of like a rated R superstar edge, but without like having sex with Lita at all. There's something about him. I love the whole like conspiracy theory thing he does. It'll be interesting to see what he does on Raw because he's already on social media. This was a sham. He had interference again, so it will be interesting. But yeah, it was a fun match. Johnny Knoxville wins that match, and
going back into the personalities and stuff, Austin Theory and McAfee.
Yeah.
And then, of course, McMahon.
Yeah, so, I personally...
Vinny.
I've known Austin Theory for some time. Got to work with him when I did stuff with face-to-face wrestling and the Good Brothers Dojo. So Austin Theory is obviously a local guy.
Yeah.
From McDonough, Georgia. So if you're out there, Theory, hey, how are you? So really cool to kind of see a local dude out there. And of course, Pat McAfee. I mean, the dude is incredible. If you've seen his stuff in NXT, he did some matches with Adam Cole, and then he was part of War Games with the Undisputed Era as well. So, but Pat McAfee, of course, Hall of Fame puncher with the Colts, definitely deserved that moment. I listened to his podcast. The dude is hilarious. But yeah, I mean, Pat McAfee, the dude can go. I mean, I knew he could go, and a lot of people may have not seen those NXT matches because they were during the pandemic era. But I thought the man did pretty damn good. I mean, he beats Austin Theory, then here comes Vinny Mac, and I'll let you take us away with that one.
Man, just why is my question? Is why?
Why not? And that was their first original rumor that it was going to be Vinny and Pat in a match. And I was like, oh, Vince, like he's 74 years old. This man takes a bump, he's going to die. Which obviously that wasn't the case, and he didn't take a bump at all, and it was Austin Theory. So if you weren't watching, then Pat McAfee beats Austin Theory, then Vince decides to get in the ring, and a ref shows up out of nowhere, and next thing we know, the bell rings,
and it's a match.
Well,
it's a match.
But then Austin Theory comes in and gets some revenge and takes out Pat McAfee, and Vince he does a little punt to the stomach, injury insult, because of course Pat McAfee being a former punter.
Yeah.
But then,
Stone Cold comes in. that classic Vinny Stone Cold rivalry, and the botch stunner.
The stunner around the world is, I think the beer probably played a factor. Maybe he slipped on that beer. But Austin was, you can see it on his face. He's loving it.
He just laughed. He just rolled with it. Whatever. Yeah, it was great. I mean, the guy's damn near 80.
So Pat McAfee, his podcast that he did Tuesday. So Austin stunned him, and he says he had no idea that was going to happen. So he said they were aware, obviously, of the Austin angle, but he did not know he was going to be invited back in the ring and have a beer with him. So he was talking about, how much that meant to him, how cool the moment that was, and obviously you could kind of hear the emotion in his voice of he's a fan.
Yeah, of course.
You hear his commentary, this dude's a fan, and that's why I really like him, because it's kind of cool to see here's his fan and have this moment. But he took that stunner really well.
Hey, dude. Given the chance, I'd sell a stunner from a 90-year-old Stone Cold. Let me tell you.
Austin, if you're out there, in the southern Atlanta area, shoot us up.
Right.
I can take a stunner easily.
Oh yeah.
I don't even need to be paid. Let me just put it on social media. I have 5 followers. You'll see it. But yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really good.
Nah, it's.
But
it was fun. It was fun.
It was good to see Austin on both nights.
Yeah.
It was appropriate to have him out there.
Well, I mean, absolutely. And Texas, you can't have WrestleMania without the rattlesnake in Texas. So.
You definitely could not have.
Moving on. Briefly touch Bobby Lashley versus Omos or Amos.
Almost. You know, Bobby Lashley, he's a specimen, and almost obviously they're trying to do something with him. I don't see anything almost whatsoever.
I mean, he's a big guy. That's really about it.
And that's about it. But
well, I mean,
we had some follow up on Raw.
Vince McMahon, I think, has had an affinity with trying to find a replacement for Andre the Giant, and the Giant Gonzalez,
Braun Strowman, almost.
Well, they had something with Braun, but
if you, moving on. So Bobby Lashley obviously wins, but then last night or Monday on Raw, MVP back on Bobby, so I guess
was there any seating for that? Because I didn't see that. That came out of left field for me.
And Lashley said something along the lines like, I did it on my own.
Yeah.
Now MVP's like, oh, you don't need me, screw you, I'll get the next cool thing.
Yeah.
So I guess obviously they want Bobby to be a face because the fans have definitely latched onto him, rightfully so. I enjoy Bobby Lashley, so hopefully he gets back into
the triple threat tag match, RK Bro. I didn't think I was going to be a fan of RK Bro when they first put them together, and they have grown on me. And that finish with the dueling RKO's out of air. Oh man, that was great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of RK Bro. I have one of their shirts, and it's honestly like my wife will watch Raw with me, and like she follows a little bit, not nearly the amount of obsession I have, but she enjoys like their zaniness, obviously. And I mean, Orton has said time and time again he's having the time of his career. Like he's really enjoying it, and he's like, this is like the most fun he's had, and you can tell those two are like, they're enjoying it, and
heck yeah,
working with the Street Profits and working with Alpha Academy, and then having that moment with
dude, the Street Profits are so good to me, man.
Yeah,
like they have every match that I've seen them in, they are able to hit those high spots. I can't remember his name, but
Montez Ford.
Yes, him. The height that he gets on that frog splash, it is insane.
It's scary how high that man gets, and so RK Bro retains those Raw Tag Team titles at that moment, but we'll see what's next, because I would definitely.
Moving on to the women's tag team championship. Honestly, man, I was.
That match was rushed, and you could tell they were pressed for time at that point. It was one of those. I think they just needed to get it out there.
Yeah.
But a lot of rapid finishes in that match. All the women got their spots in, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the whole Catwoman entrance that
that was pretty cool.
Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan had. That was pretty cool. But Sasha and Naomi win the SmackDown the women's tag team titles. Not really much to come away from.
No,
not
really. But
Zelina and Carmella broke up as a tag team match, or as a tag team.
Which I haven't seen such violent tongue action on Raw since the Attitude Era.
I guess they wrote them off because they're really getting married. Go and do whatever. So I guess they'll be gone for a couple weeks or whatever. So I guess they needed to do something. So good job for Sasha and them to something.
Edge and AJ Styles.
Yeah, wow.
I had high hopes for that match, and it didn't disappoint.
It definitely did. I mean, Edge has a whole new persona, new entrance music, new look. This whole, I'm better than everybody. Very dark, very edgy. But I was very pleased with the match. I thought you're not gonna have AJ Styles in bad match. That's not a thing. definitely you had a little conspiracy at the end because Damian Priest, comes out there and introduces,
Yeah, the build up to the new stable,
new group, tag team, whatever it's going to be. We heard the reasons why on Raw. And,
I just hope they don't do anything, because I was hearing them say something about like the Brood 2.0 or something.
I mean, it definitely does have a Brood, Ministry of Darkness type feel. So we'll see where it goes, because it could go either way. I'm okay with it. I don't want them to do a Brood thing, but like Damian Priest definitely is a star. He'll be big. So either way, like, he gets to work with a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely.
13-time world champion. And so what an honor that must be for him to be picked. And there's been some rumors of them maybe pin Rhea Ripley with that group.
Okay.
And then there's also been a rumor of Tommaso Ciampa, former NXT champion, which I think he would be absolutely perfect. So maybe those two come in and make it a four group. So we'll see. I read on that rumor. I was like, okay, I can see Tommaso. I could definitely see Rhea. We haven't had a staple where you have a woman involved in quite some time. So who knows? I mean, who's AJ going to get to kind of help him fight off these guys? It'll be interesting. He faces Damian Priest this Monday on Raw. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens there.
And then the big money match.
Big money.
Yeah, Roman versus Brock Lesnar for the unification of the titles.
As the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. And, anytime you call a match the biggest, the greatest, the whatever, you're setting yourself up for a standard that you can't meet. And I'm not saying that they didn't meet a standard, but you're unifying the titles.
Which I thought that was... I don't understand why they didn't, like, putting my booking hat on. Right.
See the helmet, that's his booking.
Right, yeah. I would have let somebody else other than Brock win at Elimination Chamber. Set up a different match for the WWE title, and then still ended up with Brock Lesnar. You could
have easily done Edge AJ for the WWE title. You could have done, you probably could have done, how cool would it have been for Seth Rollins to beat the WWE champion and do a mystery match, and bam, Cody Rhodes comes out like that would have been unknown. But yeah, I'm gonna hold off judgment because something happened in that match, and he has Lesnar has Roman in that Kimura lock, and he tells Heyman it popped, and I don't know if you saw the picture post match, but pretty gnarly. Roman Reigns' arm was quite. He had like this nasty bump. I don't know if the man's injured. They didn't make any reference to it on Raw. He said on SmackDown, you'll find out what's next for me. So if he is injured, then obviously the title
that changes things, yeah.
But the rumor around the block is that WrestleMania 39 will be Rock versus Roman, which if that's the case, then that's what we're going to do. And Roman's not losing that title this year. I would likely see him carry that to WrestleMania 39 and then face The Rock and then go from there. But I think right now Roman, he's on a whole another spectrum.
God mode.
Oh, God mode. It's on his shirt, but like he's now fourth of all time for longest reign, and I think they do look at this and go, he could be our longest reigning champion of all time.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy.
Yeah.
But if that shoulder is messed up, or arm, excuse me, it's could beg into question. So we'll see what happens on SmackDown. If they don't make any mention of it on SmackDown, then I guess he's okay. But yeah, he beats Brock Lesnar, has him in that Kimura lock, and then quickly spear 1, 2, 3. So to me, something just didn't seem like the ending.
Yeah.
It's just very like, whoa, we were just in I thought he was going to tap, and then now he's pinning the guy.
Yeah.
So to me, it just seemed like we rushed to get there. but I don't know. I'm not a medical expert. Maybe that's what they wanted. They wanted a finish. You knew what style match you were going to get with those two. But
nothing but power finishes.
Oh yeah, of course, F5, spear. Suplex to the go through a barricade.
I mean, they hit those spots.
Of course. And I mean, a fair physical match. I enjoy them two working with each other, but I definitely need a break from them too. Definitely need a break. I would be very okay if those two never wrestled with each other ever again. And I think they would probably be both okay with that.
What do you think is next for Brock? Do you think he takes some time off, or?
I don't know. It really kind of depends. It could go both ways. So like if Reigns is injured, then Lesnar's probably going to get that belt one way or another. They'll probably do a quick match on SmackDown where maybe he faces, I don't know, Kofi Kingston or some shit. And gets handed the belt. But if it's not, then I can't see, there isn't anybody right now that I would say, hey, Lesnar needs to face this guy right now. There's no one.
Yeah.
I mean, minus Cody, but I don't think we're there.
No, and like we said before, the build up for Cody needs to be lengthy.
Yeah, it needs to be lengthy. I mean, him, one of my other friends said, well, what about Sami Zayn? I was like, Sami versus Lesnar makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he could come out there and deliver an F5, but Sami's not a threat to Lesnar.
Yeah.
Like, you would eat him alive. So I think Lesnar will take some time off unless Reigns is injured. And if Reigns is injured, then Lesnar's going to be handed the title because they're going to want a marquee champion.
Well, they and taking that conspiratorial hat, booking hat off, tinfoil hat on.
Oh, right.
But if he is injured, I could see them working another Bobby Lashley.
I mean,
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, or McIntyre's a name. I think, if I had to pick someone right now that faces Reigns immediately, it's McIntyre.
Yeah.
I think McIntyre and him they can work for a couple months with each other, and that would be a fresh, new feud, maybe leading into SummerSlam. Seth Rollins is another guy. They, of course, had that match at the Royal Rumble that ended in disqualification. As much as I, displeased of the guy, Austin Theory, somebody that could go over to SmackDown and work with them.
You think they're going to keep the titles united or what?
Once again, I think it plays into that injury. I think if he's injured, then they might just say, hey, let's split up the belts, because I don't know, like, a marquee champion, right? Like, if you're going to have an undisputed champion, it needs to be an undisputed name. And, of course, Lesnar's that name. Of course, Reigns is that name. I don't know if Bobby Lashley is. And that's not disrespecting Lashley, but I would think somehow, some way, the titles have to be split up again. Interesting that no new championship belt was revealed or anything, so it leads me to believe that this is going to be a very short split, because I read something that USA and Fox want each show to have a world champion. But
that was the original intent with them having the.
So if you're going to unify this belt, then we need to talk about the tag team titles. We needed to look at things of that nature. But we'll see. I mean, it could go either way. I'm okay with one world champion, because the main event spot is a little small, with Big E injured, with so many other things going on. We don't know. They definitely don't need to rush things. Don't rush out. I don't want to turn on SmackDown and Cody Rhodes be announced as the challenger.
Yeah,
that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Which, if he is, whatever, I'll go with it. But I definitely want us to. Let's crawl before we walk. It kind of. My friend was like, well, it kind of reminds him when Hogan came back years ago, and the night after WrestleMania 18, when Triple H won the undisputed belt from Jericho, and the next pay-per-view he dropped it to Hulk Hogan, and it was like, because Hogan great response at WrestleMania. So maybe that does happen. Maybe they're like, oh, we've got to pull the trigger, and it could. But I think it all spirals on what Roman's health is, and I haven't heard anything on him being injured, but I haven't heard anything on him not. So maybe that was just a his arm was just swollen up from the match, but it looked pretty. I'll have to show you the picture, but it looked pretty.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I hadn't actually seen that take.
It looked pretty gross. It definitely looked like there was something seriously wrong.
But wrapping up on the event, I think for me, this WrestleMania was a much needed return to form for WWE.
This really was our first WrestleMania since the pandemic. Let's be real. I mean, WrestleMania 36, of course, happened in the Performance Center, which thank y'all for doing that because, like, I think we all needed that, even though there was nobody there and it was kind of weird and we were kind of watching this and like, what is this?
I'm still a little hurt. We were supposed to go to that WrestleMania.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you had tickets to it.
I did. I was hurt.
Last year, they did it in Tampa, but they only had 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Allowed 10,000 people, and so this was their first WrestleMania really in 2 years.
Yeah.
And what a way to come back.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely great. It was absolutely great.
Definitely, I'll give, I'm a big wrestling fan, but I've given WWE a fair share of my shit, in not liking a lot of the things that they've been doing lately, and I found myself liking AEW a lot more. But this was a great event. I mean, easily probably one of the best pay-per-views WWE's done, probably in the last 2 years, easily.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe even the last 3, maybe even the last 5. Emotional weekend with Undertaker going to the Hall of Fame. If you haven't seen his speech, watch it. It's worth the hour or 10 minutes that they gave the man. Cody Rhodes is back. Austin is back, I guess. Well, back-ish. I mean, I don't think we'll see Austin again. That was it. But, I think
that was a good swan song.
Yeah, definitely a good swan song. But to see him back and see him do that, like, the fans.
Unless they were auditioning him for Saudi Arabia.
They're definitely not. He's definitely not gonna do it. But yeah, great WrestleMania, great night. It was an amazing experience. Go see it in the theaters, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get a chance to watch a wrestling event at AMC,
it was so
man,
cool.
it was so great.
So great. But they didn't do the surround sound.
Yeah.
It was so cool. Several of the AMC employees kept coming and watching it with us.
Yeah.
It was a neat experience. So definitely, if there's another pay-per-view, that's a big one that's at AMC, we're definitely
going to be there. But that's going to wrap it up for us for our WrestleMania discussion. We're going to be looking forward to other segments like this in the future. Maybe come back for SummerSlam coverage afterwards.
We'll definitely do these post shows, and I think thank you for having me. I'll check out Miguel's little
right.
Yeah, he's obviously
and
all this stuff is going to be missing.
But you guys can tell why I got this guy here, man. He is a walking, talking encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge.
30 plus years of living in my mother's basement.
What?
I've been a fan all my life.
What?
And grew up with WCW.
What?
Right. And so it's been a part of my life, and I refuse to stop. So thank you for having me.
Awesome.
This was fun.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you. Catch y'all next time.
If you like our videos, please subscribe and hit the like button.